Alright, so today I'm going to be changing out the headlights. This is for an RGB DRL mod. This is also the same if you want to do the yellow DRLs or orange or whatever color you want to change the BMW G80 or G82 and 3RM4 Angel Eye headlights to. This is only for the laser lights. This is based on the positioning of the module. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to be swapping this module up here with the new one, and then we are going to remove the wheel, remove the inner fender liner, to access the second module for the second Angel Eye that is underneath, to swap that one out. This could be applicable for both, like I said, RGB version, or if you're just doing a single color, yellow or orange. The one that I have picked out is for the RGB version. So here we have my new modules with a separate module for the Bluetooth connection for the different colors of LEDs. So the tools you will need for the install, you're going to need a torque wrench, 17mm size socket to remove the wheels. You're going to need a smaller socket with a 10mm socket. This is for the bolts that are on the inside of the fender well, with various extensions to reach points behind the strut and shock or behind the brake caliper. You're going to want a bit driver with a T20 torque screw. This is to actually remove the headlight modules themselves. And then you're also going to want, this is kind of a right angle tool for that same bit. The reason being is that the one module underneath is really close to the frame, and you will not be able to get a full-size bit driver in there like this one here, even though it's easier to use up top. But without further ado, I'm going to first go over how we have to set these up. So these modules have to be pre-installed.
So before we get to all that, there's actually a prerequisite step. So when you go online to order these things, you can order them in two configurations. You can get just the circuit breaker modules, which is going to include just the LED diode and the wire, or you can get the set that I have here that has the new heat sinks as well. I recommend getting them like this, because then you have to rip apart your stock ones and you kind of risk breaking the existing module that's on there, and not really practical. This setup here just makes for an easier install. This way, you're not damaging your stock components, and if something goes wrong in the install, you can return the car to stock just as it was with your existing modules. This is kind of a drop-in solution. So you can see here, these are actually directional. So the left DRL module needs to be mounted, left heatsink needs to be mounted to the left module, the left circuit board with the LED diode. Same thing, so these little ones, they'll have an L at the top, and then you need to match them with the left heatsink diode. Make sure you pay attention to that when you're mounting these. So to put these together, you're going to need a couple of things. So they give you the included heatsink putty. I have right here already opened up. I'm going to use like an applicator tool. This is literally just a coffee stirrer just to spread it out, something disposable, easy, plastic utensil, whatever you got. With this, less is going to be more. You don't want to gob it on, because then it will not hold as effectively and it will take longer to dry. Before I put any heat putty on, I'm just going to line this up. So you want to make sure it fits in the module like so. Just like that, nice and resting on the grooves there where it's designed. Now we'll go ahead, get some of that heatsink putty on it. So once you have a nice layer on there, you don't need to go too crazy. It doesn't even have to cover the whole thing, because when you press it down, it will spread out. Before I do this, let's double check. So we've got the left heatsink in my hand. For the left diode, we'll just rest it there and press, and it should hold nicely. And then of course, before you do this, you're going to want to make sure none of your cables are crossed, so these are all separated. Make sure nothing's twisted, so that way it's all lined up. And we'll do the same thing, of course, for the right side. Put on the right diode. Definitely going to want to let these cure for a little bit, at least a few hours. I'm letting mine sit overnight. And then you are ready to go back to the install on the vehicle.
So now that we've got our modules installed, we can get back to the install on the vehicle. So first thing we're going to do is take our torque wrench, and we are going to loosen the lug nuts before we get started. So before we jack up the car to take off the wheel, we're going to loosen the lug nuts while the vehicle's on the ground, just so that way it's not up in the air and unstable. Whenever working with lug nuts, I try and follow the star formation so the wheel comes off nice and evenly. We are going to go ahead and jack the car up now. The jack point is right under the front door. The jack point is that square box. It's right where you want your jack lined up. That's your jack point. Slowly bring this up. Once you got that on there, you're gonna jack the car up nice and easy. So now, I'm gonna work on taking the wheel off. Separate our socket from our torque wrench, and little by little, should now be loosening them. Get our 5 lug nuts off. We're gonna carefully pull off the wheel without scratching up our nice M brake caliper. Wheel the wheel out of the way. While it's off, you can check, make sure there's no screws, nothing in your tires, wear's good. And then lean it up against something non-abrasive so you don't scratch your wheels. Take our lug nuts, keep them on a nice flat surface so we don't lose these. You have to do this process for both sides. I've already done the driver's side, now I'm working on the passenger. Now we're all gloved up. We're gonna need now our socket with the extensions and the 10mm bit. And I've also got like a nice little cup here. You got a Tupperware something to throw all the screws in while you're working so you don't misplace these. While we're under here, we are also gonna check, see if there's any buildup. I already see there's a brake cooling duct here. Got some leaves in it, we'll clean that out for sure. Yep, so you got some nice junk in there. It's, you know, not part of the install, but since you're down here, you have the wheel off. Might as well see what we're working with. We'll leave that off. So there are 10 13mm bolts. We got one on the bottom corner, coming up to number 2, number 3, we just passed. Up at the top, you've got 4 and 5, 6 and 7 on the inside, coming down, 8 by the brake cooling duct, 9 at the bottom of the brake cooling duct, 10 in the center at the bottom. Then you have 11 in the top corner by the strut, 12 mounted to the frame there, and then 13 right below. Let's get to loosening these bolts. About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Got them all. So something to note is that this fender well liner is tucked under the actual fender. So you want to start with this inside, but it's also tucked under another piece. So you're going to gently pull that forward and try and get this portion over it, nice and gentle. All these plastic components can crack, so you do not want to be too aggressive with them. We're going to try to shift the whole thing over to get it untucked from here. Just like so. Just like so. And then pull it out. Nice, nice. And you'll see that we have more debris hiding in there, collecting in a nice stone tray. We're actually going to use a shop vac and clean that all up while we're in here. Might as well. So now comes to the portion where you will need the T20 to work on the actual headlight module. So we can start with the top one now that we have that whole wheel well off. Very simple. T20, just gonna loosen this up. Be very careful not to lose the screw into the abyss. Keep your finger on it as you remove it. Excellent. And we'll put those in safekeeping on the table. So when you remove the module, you will see that there's a little cable buried under there, and it's just plugged in. These are stock, so notice this is R for the right side, so you're going to want to install the ones that also say R. So now we can get to working on the actual module. The key difference here is that I'm doing an RGB set, so they will have an extra ribbon wire to the control module to change the color. If you are doing a static set, like you're just going yellow, amber, or whatever color you choose, those will not have an extra ribbon cable here. Something they will probably have, though, is going to be this blue protective film that's over the light. So when you are ready to install, just like we are, you're going to want to carefully remove this film that's over the diode, just like so. If not, your lights will have a blue tint to them and they will not be colored properly. So now you can see here our new module matches our old one. We're going to carefully pinch this little clip here and wiggle it gently to remove. Old module comes out. The new module, we're going to make sure, for me, because I'm doing RGB, that the ribbon cable is not crossed. And we are going to plug it in just in the same way. gently plug it in. If you have, again, a standard color, you will not have that problem. You can actually see here there's a little clear plastic piece. You want to make sure that stays clean. That is where your diode is going to butt right up against to eliminate those angel eyes. So now we will drop this in, and with the ribbon, we're going to give it some excess, and it needs to snake out the side. We'll give it a little excess so there's not too much tension under that portion. And then we will push down till the screw holes line up, and then we can reinstall this module. So now we will carefully, this is again for the RGB where you have this whole ribbon wire mechanism with the extra control module for the Bluetooth. You're going to have this extra tape here, so you're going to want to carefully drop the module down and into the wheel well where we were working before, because that's where that other module is. If you have a static color, you will not have that wire, so you don't have to worry about this step. You won't have this. Okay, so now that that's carefully hanging down there, we're going to go under here and see where it came out. And we're going to put it somewhere nice to rest, which the brake duct served as an excellent spot for that. Underneath the car, you can see there we have the other module in the wheel well. So the first screw is going to be right here. The second screw is all the way up top, kind of in between the frame. That second screw up there is where you're going to need the Allen key that I'm talking about, or the right angle tool for the T20 bit, because you will not be able to get a full bit driver between this piece on the frame. Perfectly line it up, and it's just an absolute pain in the butt. This is the worst part of the whole process. Oh god. The ratcheting tool makes this 10 times easier, but it's still a pain in the butt. So now we've got that painful screw out, we've got the module with the similar connection as the one up top, so we're going to do the same thing. There's a clip on the other side, we're going to pinch it, wiggle it out, and then throw in our new module. Pinch it and gently wiggle it out. There we go. Old module coming out, and you can confirm on the top it says R because we are working on the right side, and you can see that our new one does also say R because we are working on the right side. We're now going to want to remove the blue tape because it is time to install, and then we are going to take this clip. There's not too much play here, to be honest, with this clip. Like, you really don't have a lot of room, but just carefully make sure it's lined up and push. You'll hear a click, nice little satisfying click to know that we are in. So now this one's a little bit more tricky. You're going to want to leave some of that excess ribbon wire, just as we talked about previously. Again, if you have the standard single colors, you're not going to worry about that. Now we can have some fun and reinstall the screws. So we can take our two T20 screws, our right angle bit, and our bit driver to get this all back together. So now at this point, if you have these standards, DRLs, single color, this would be the end of the install. You would then reinstall the fender liner, all 13 M10 screws, and then reinstall the wheel. You could skip to the end of the video, you'll see me do that. But if you have the DRLs with the RGB function where you can change the color, this is now that portion of the install. So firstly included is a piggyback connector for the headlight. So you are actually going to disconnect the headlight on the passenger side, which is why I'm doing this side instead of the driver's side. So you would skip this step on the driver's side, but we are going to do it here on the passenger side in real time. You could see we have the headlight connector with a red tab on the bottom. We're going to slide this red tab forward gently. That releases the connector, and then we're going to wiggle it off to plug in our piggyback connector. So now that we've got the headlight connector separated, we're going to plug in the piggyback components. So you can see here, line up the pins. So up top we've got the 2 pins. Down on the bottom we've got 3 little ones, so that will go just like this into there. Click in nice, and then this portion will go right back into the headlight, just as it was before. So now, then this little guy plugs into the Bluetooth module. Make sure we line these up properly so the 2 pinholes line up with the 2 pinholes. Nice little clip together. Then we come up here and we have to connect the 2 RGB modules together. So as you can see, there's this clip here, and then there's going to be one on the passenger side that I already installed. And to do that, we will use the included connecting wire. So we are going to connect these 2 together The clip on the top lines up with the hole on the top, just like such. And we're gonna run it over the other side, and you can see you have the female clip to the male connector. Well, it's all wired, so I'm gonna unlock the car and see what we got. Oh, connection succeeded. Let's see, so I just hit red, now they're red. Orange, they go orange. Let me see if I could. Wow, this is so cool. I can pick any color I want. Simple connection in the app. All you do is just connect there. So now that everything's connected and we know it's working, we can begin to tidy up the engine bay. So you're gonna have this nice big cross cable running along here. You're gonna pop out, and then we're gonna sneak behind there our DRL cable. And then you have nice adhesive backing on these. So what we can do is peel that off and stick it in a location that is out of sight. Now once you've got everything zip tied and secured as you'd like it, clear of the hood components, which are right here, the latching components, keep clear of that. You can go ahead and carefully snip your zip ties to clean up the finish in the engine bay. So now we've made sure all of our wiring is tucked up and away. We're gonna reinstall the cover and the 13 M10 screws and put the wheel back on. So recall that the cover's got to line in over here, and careful because you got a couple electrical wires and a fuse, so we don't want to damage that. So we're first going to go past it a little bit. You can see here that's where that hole is supposed to line up. Careful on the other side. Start all these by hand before tightening them, and then we'll tighten them all at the same time. Alright, so then we got all the fender liner reinstalled. We double checked all the screws nice and tight. 13 bolts off, 13 bolts back on. I'm going to reinstall the cover for the brake cooler just as we took it off in the reversed order. A little bit painful to push that thing in there. Come on, there it is. Locks in nice. Done. And then since we're down here, we're going to clean off our nice blue brake calipers. They are covered in brake dust since the wheel is off for easy access. Go ahead and wipe those off quick before we reinstall the wheel. Now we'll go ahead and reinstall the wheel. We're going to put the wheel back on just as we took it off, gently lifting it onto the hub without scratching our beautiful M brake calipers. Now, holding the wheel with our foot, car's still in the air, we're just going to tighten these a little bit just before bringing the car down, not with crazy leverage. Now that we've snugged those up, we're going to remove our block and lower our jack. Now once the vehicle's on the ground, we can snug up all of our lug nuts back.
Now the only thing left to do is enjoy the results and check out some of the cool features in the app. I hope you enjoyed my install video and found it helpful. I will say my first initial observation is that these DRLs are a little bit lighter than the stock ones. They are not as bright, but I honestly prefer that, especially for night car photography. These lights are not overexposed and come out nice and crisp in pictures. As always, stay tuned to check out some more car content next week. Thank you for watching.